Virginia's economic vitality in the future, and indeed the economic development of the state, in large part will depend upon Virginia having readily available a well-qualified and well-trained workforce. Between now and the year 2000, it's expected that our economy will grow and the number of new jobs to be created will increase by approximately 25%. Yet the number of new workers entering the workforce is expected to be less than a 15% increase. Most of the new jobs being created are likely to be jobs requiring high skills, requiring good preparation in terms of education. According to the Hudson Institute, projections are that the average new job will require 13.5 years of education compared to 12.8 years of education today. Added to this is the fact that the number of high school graduates that are expected to occur between now and the year 2000 is going to be a declining group that will continue to shrink until about the mid-1990s. What this adds up to is that we have an ever-increasing number of jobs, but fewer people coming into the labor force. And of those that are coming into the labor force, they're going to have to be more and better prepared than they have been in the past. Yet, the report card, Virginia's report card, in terms of preparing workers for the future, leaves much to be desired. In business after business, they're reporting that America's educational report card is less than desirable. According to the National Alliance for Business, for example, in 1988, 44% of all of the people who applied at jobs at the headquarters of Prudential Insurance were unable to read at the 9th grade level. Michigan Bell reports that 2 out of every 15 applicants for clerical positions can successfully complete the written and typing portions of their examination. Motorola has found that 80% of its applicants cannot pass a simple 7th grade reading or 5th grade math test. And at New York Telephone Company, only 20% of those could pass the operator's test. There's a growing recognition that Virginia's businesses and America's businesses are going to have to turn to public education if we're going to find an answer to tomorrow's workforce needs. But as Virginia business turns to education, we find that the crisis in the workforce is Virginia's crisis in education at the same time. There are a couple of statistics that are very alarming. In Virginia, 1 out of every 4 children who starts the 9th grade doesn't complete high school. 1 out of every 8 17-year-olds in Virginia is functionally illiterate. And the college-going rates for minorities in Virginia is lower today than it was in 1978. The dimensions of this problem are not unique to Virginia. They're national in character, and they apply to many neighborhoods, many communities across the country. In an effort to look at how this problem was manifesting itself on the Virginia Peninsula, Thomas Nelson Community College and 6 area employers got together to look at our workforce and to look at the demands that industry would have as we entered the 21st century. The findings that we found in our community were as alarming as those that have been found nationally. Our industry task force found that by the mid-1990s, we were going to suffer a significant shortfall in the needed numbers of technical workers to keep up with the economic expansion that was expected. In fact, we found that there would be a shortfall of nearly 2,500 technical personnel on the peninsula, and that the problem would grow worse because the pipeline supplying new workers wasn't filled with students who were preparing for those careers today. As a consequence, we concluded that our region was soon going to be facing a serious mismatch between workplace requirements and worker capabilities. In addition, we found that the pool of available talent will continue to shrink unless significant steps are taken now. The solution, we believe, begins with 5 important steps. Number 1, we believe that parents must be more involved with their children's education, and that parents must expect more of their children's performance than they're now expecting. Second, we believe that business and industry, government, and higher education must be involved with our public schools to support the teaching of basic subjects such as English, reading, mathematics, science, and interpersonal skills, because these are the basics upon which all later learning will build on. Third, we must guarantee that every student who has the ability will be encouraged to continue his or her education beyond high school, whether that be to college and university or to post-secondary technical and vocational training. Fourth, we believe that we must encourage the development of broadly based vocational and technical programs at the secondary and post-secondary education. Narrow specializations in technologies and vocational areas today don't serve our students well in the changing career world that they'll find themselves. Broad preparation is what's required. And finally, we must find more ways to attract all students, but particularly minority and female students, into scientific and mathematically related career fields. As our region's awareness of the workforce and education crisis grows, we're finding that business and industry and education are forming together for partnerships for excellence. These are absolutely essential if our schools and our businesses and our communities together are going to meet the workforce crisis of the 21st century. I'd like to identify 3 of the broadly based regional programs that have begun as a consequence of the industry task force on the Virginia Peninsula. One of those programs is a regional middle school career guidance and counseling program called ADAMS. ADAMS stands for Adventures in Technologies, Options in Math and Science. Now, the object of this program is to visit every middle school on the Virginia Peninsula with teams of scientists and engineers and math-related professionals, together with faculty and other students who are studying in technologies, to make students aware at the 8th grade level or before of the kinds of career opportunities and possibilities that will be available to them if they'll study hard, stay in school, and achieve their full potential, and particularly to pay attention to achievement in math and science. This regional middle school program will affect every middle school on the Virginia Peninsula with teams going to explain the exciting careers that are going to be available to children when they graduate if they're ready and prepared. A second program that has been launched is one that involves the identification of students who are in transition from 8th to 9th grade, whose teachers identify them as being able students but underachieving because of low self-esteem, a loss of motivation, or family life that might not be conducive to their achievement. We've identified 20 students in 3 different school divisions on a pilot basis who have just completed the 8th grade and have designed a 4-week summer program for them in concert between Thomas Nelson Community College, NASA Langley Research Center, and a facility known as the Continuous Electron Beam Accelerator Facility, known as CBAF here. Now, these 3 organizations have come together and have designed a summer experience that will challenge these students through the study of computers, hands-on math and science projects, studies in physics and in aerospace engineering technology that will show them the relationship between what they study in school and the kinds of applications that it can have. The idea is not for learning to be abstract and remote, but for it to be real and practical, to encourage these students to see the relationship between studying hard in school and the kinds of career opportunities that are available. This last summer, we had 54 students on our campus through this summer program, and all 54 of those students completed the entire 4-week program and graduated. All of them now are back in their new high schools studying as groups with the help of engineers and scientists who are following them through their 9th grade, helping them with their science fair projects. We found that these students have turned on to learning and instead of drifting, now are engaged in upper-level mathematics and laboratory sciences. Their opportunities for achievement and for career paths in science and technology are now open whereas before they would have been closed. During 1990-91, a third program is going to be begun on the Virginia Peninsula, coordinated by the Virginia Peninsula Chamber of Commerce, together with Thomas Nelson Community College, the area's 5 public school divisions, and numerous small and medium-sized businesses. It's composed of 2 parts. The first part is a mentoring program, and the second part is an internship. The mentoring program is targeted at 7th grade to 10th grade students who are underachieving or may not have the motivation necessary for them to be successful in school. The program links a business person up with an underachieving student to try to get the student to relate to a role model who will provide necessary motivation for the student to want to try to achieve. By pairing up with a business professional, the student can talk about career and vocational choices and think about why it's important to achieve now in school if he or she is going to have a bright future tomorrow. The mentorship is fairly short in duration, but long enough to develop a personal contact between one person and a student. The second part of this program is an internship designed for students from roughly the 9th through the 12th grade. And the internship is more designed, rather than for the poorly motivated student, for the middle ability student who's unsure about what kinds of career choices to make. The internship will allow students to link up with businesses, go to their work site, and through unpaid experiences get a feel for the workplace and for the kinds of careers that are available. So he or she could think about exploring this career direction or another career direction without worrying about making mistakes. These 3 programs are only examples of the kinds of partnerships for excellence that can be structured in many communities. If our public schools, our community colleges and colleges and universities, chambers of commerce, parents, local governments will join together in a single unit to fight the crisis that is in public education today. Through this cooperation, through this partnership for excellence, we can expect more of our students. We will receive more from our schools. It's going to require the involvement of all of us, not just a school problem. It's a community problem. It's going to require commitment from all of us, and it's going to cost money. But as Harvard University's Derek Balk said, if you think education's expensive, try ignorance. The challenge is ours. If Virginia schools fail, Virginia fails. Join us in this challenge. Join us in the Partnerships for Excellence.